What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox. The Miami Heat took a 3-zip series lead against the Boston Celtics, and the Nuggets are eyeing a sweep tonight in the West as well. They're going to face off with the Lakers. We'll get into all of that, but first, let's welcome in our guest today, NBA reporter for ESPN, Nick Friedell. Nick, you're in Miami right now.
Katie, there are a lot worse places to be, and this place has gone completely Jimmy Butler crazy. So it is a fun atmosphere to be around for sure.
You know what's so funny is a lot during the playoffs, I think a lot of people talk about how, the seats are empty in Miami for the first half or so. But as we've seen this series go on, and actually just these playoffs go on, it is Heat culture. It is Heat mania right now, right?
It's palpable. I mean, people always laugh around the league, and they're like, oh, Heat culture, here we go again. But I'm telling you, I've been around this team long enough through the years to know that down here, it's real. And they really don't care what everybody else thinks because they just keep winning games. So this run that they are on is the definition of Heat culture to the fullest.
Absolutely. Now, this has been a surprising run for them, considering how they started off. I don't think anyone thought they were going to beat the Bucks. The New York series was a little bit more of a toss-up, and then you think Boston. Boston was the best team in the NBA, not even just the Eastern Conference, all season long. I guess maybe not when you look at the Nuggets. How surprised are you that the Heat are here right now?
How about completely stunned?
Yes.
Still, I still can't believe it. I picked against them against Milwaukee. I picked against them against the Knicks. I picked against them before this series started against the Celtics, and they just keep winning games. So it has been a lot of fun to watch unfold. But Katie, having covered Jimmy, and again, this is where all this kind of keeps coming back around to, since the beginning of his career, every time somebody tries to put a limit on him, he exceeds those expectations. So in that regard, this shouldn't be that much of a surprise because Jimmy Butler just keeps getting better and better. But I am shocked still that we are sitting here right now in this moment and the Heat are where they are.
It makes me feel so much better that you say that, Nick, because I picked against them as well. And I lost a lot of money on them until this series because the Celtics really hadn't shown anything to me that they could beat this team when we finally got here to the Eastern Conference Finals. So if we look at just the odds right now, okay, Heat up, obviously 3-0. Moneyline Celtics plus 105, Heat minus 125, spread 1.5. So under a basket for this game, and the over under at 214.5. We've already talked about how impressed you are by this team and kind of how surprising it's been. What do you think is going to happen in this next game?
Over.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
Over.
OVER.
I don't see how Boston bounces back after being so flat in game 3 and just getting completely wiped out. And then you're listening to them after the game and you're thinking, this sounds like a pretty broken team. So if it's me, I am running up there going, all right, I believe it now. I believe in the Heat and all their magic and everything that's gone on. I don't see how Boston can turn it around at this point. They've got a lot of talented guys on that team, but they don't have the belief that Miami has right now.
I agree with you. And you've already hit on Jimmy Butler and you've covered him for a long time. So you're not really surprised by anything. But we've talked a lot about, and just in general, the media's talked about poking the bear, right? In the Western, not conference series, but up against the Grizzlies, you talk about poking the bear, which is LeBron James. Well, Grant Williams poked the bear that is Jimmy Butler. And he did say that trash talk fueled him to win. What is it about poking the bear or competitors like a LeBron James or like a Jimmy Butler that you just want to leave them alone?
This is a public service announcement for anybody in the league, Katie. Don't piss Jimmy Butler off. Don't do it. It's not worth it because the guy uses all of that stuff as fuel and people say, oh, he was going to do it anyway. Well, okay, maybe, but don't give him another reason to do it. That's the difference. I couldn't believe that Grant Williams went that far, and in typical Jimmy fashion, he's just smiling and laughing and saying, okay, hold on, let's see what happens. And then it really got him going, and it got the rest of his teammates going. So stay away from Jimmy. don't say anything. Don't do anything. We saw what happened in Game 3. He's going after Al Horford's celebration. The guy has a long memory, and he remembers everybody who tried to get in his way.
I wouldn't even look him in the eyes. He looks my direction. I think I'd look down at the floor because I would not want to piss him off at all. But the thing about Jimmy Butler, too, is I think everyone's like, oh, Jimmy buckets and he's scoring all of these points, but he's also so productive on the defensive end on the floor. For me, the over 1.5 steals per game has been an absolute cash cow. The guy is stealing at least 2 balls a game and sometimes upwards of 4. So just a little, I don't know if you're a betting man, but that is something that I would throw some money on. But let's talk about the coach here, right? He deserves some credit. Erik Spoelstra, one of the best coaches of all times, a little bit underrated, I think, because he's been to the playoffs and he's had so many conference titles. And of course, he's also had an NBA title as well. He did say that this rocky season that they had has really helped them develop the mental toughness that they needed to get where they are right now. What do you think is Spoelstra's biggest strength as a head coach?
He is even keeled, Katie. He's never getting too high. He's never getting too low. His players respond to that. For all the ups and downs in this regular season, Erik Spoelstra has maintained the same level all the time. And when you are going through all the emotions that come over 82 games in the regular season, and then you're supposed to hit a switch and reach some next level in the postseason, you need someone who is going to maintain everybody's emotions and keep them in check. That's what Spoelstra does. And the in-game adjustments that he makes are fantastic. His players trust him completely, and that is crucial to why the Heat not only are on the verge of another finals appearance, but why they've been able to learn from mistakes in the regular season, correct them, and hit this level that they're on now.
All right, Nick, let's look at the other side. What is going on with the Boston Celtics? Magic Johnson, who is usually positive vibes only, to the point where sometimes I think he uses Chat GPT to tweet things out because they're so even keeled. He said last night, in my 44 years of being associated with the NBA, I never thought I'd see a Boston Celtics team, a franchise with 17 championships, quit. I know Celtics fans all over the world must be disgusted and devastated. And he goes on from there. Are you disgusted and devastated for this team? What is going on?
They just look like they are broken. And when you have the success that they've had, Katie, for the last few years, and you've had the same roster for most of it, it's just a shock more than anything else. You figured that Miami had a lot of momentum. Jimmy was playing the way that he continues to play. They had a shot, sure. But Boston was so good. And they got Milwaukee out of the way. Miami did them a favor. And the Warriors, who beat them last year in the finals, they're gone. And you're thinking, all right, the path is clear. But what we have learned, certainly through 3 games of this series, is the Heat are just a lot more mentally tough than the Celtics. And to be in that arena last night and to watch them just completely roll over is stunning for the way this season was unfolding for them.
You talk about mental toughness, someone like Jimmy Butler versus a Jayson Tatum. Now, Jayson Tatum did drop 51 points in that last series, but he's been relatively quiet. This is what, his 4th Eastern Conference final? Is he just not a clutch player? Is he not someone that can get it done when you need him to?
He's not there yet. And for as much focus as there's been on Joe Mazzulla and the learning curve that he's going through as a first-year coach, Katie, I think that's getting lost in the shuffle. And I think it's a really good point about Tatum. He's supposed to be the guy. And we saw in Game 7 against the Sixers, he's throwing in buckets from all over the place, and he's got his 51 points, and you're thinking, oh, man, wait till the next round. And he has just disappeared. So I think everybody was ready to anoint him as that next guy and that next star, and it's just not going to happen. What we've seen is Tatum just doesn't look like he's still ready to lead a team all the way through. And you can get to the finals and you can have success in the playoffs, but until you carry your team all the way through and you win the title as the number 1 face of a franchise, those questions will always remain.
You talk about people wanting to anoint him. The sports books, after he dropped that 51 points, they made him the favorite to be the finals MVP. Not only are they probably not getting to the finals, they're about to get swept. He was the favorite after dropping that 51 points, and then he's just nosedived since then. You've already touched on Coach Mazzulla. Is his job in trouble?
It could be if they get blown out again in
Yeah.
game 4. But Katie, if you're the Celtics, the last thing you would want to do, you'd think, is go through your 4th coach in 4 years. Brad Stevens, he opted out. He went to the front office. Ime Udoka, we know the issues that he had there. He's no longer with the organization. Mazzulla is supposed to be the guy. He got a contract extension. He seemed to be finding his way, and this team has just imploded. So it would still be a surprise if they made that change. But I think anything is on the table if they go into game 4 and have a performance like they did on Sunday night.
I agree. All right. Well, we're both in the same boat that we think they're about to get swept, and this is going to be OVER tonight. But let's just play devil's advocate here. What do the Celtics need to do? What adjustments do they need to make in order to avoid being swept?
Well, the biggest thing is you have got to, as the leader of the group, if you're Jayson Tatum, you have to impose your will on the game. Katie, we could talk about all the adjustments in the world, and they're not approaching the zone the right way. And Al Horford suddenly looks like he's gotten very old very quickly in this series. All of that is true. This Celtics team needs their leader to step up and not allow his team to get swept. So to me, the Celtics are only going to go as far as Tatum takes them in game 4. And if the first few games of the series are any indication, where he's going to lead them is straight into the offseason.
Yeah, straight to Cancun, if you will. All right, we're going to take a quick break and come right back. Tickets to the game, merch, meals at iconic restaurants, stays at Caesar Palace. All this can be yours when you bet with Caesar Sportsbook. Win or lose, every bet earns reward credits, which you can redeem across the empire. Now, if you haven't started yet, register using code OMAHAFULL and then place your first bet up to $1,250. If you win, great. You keep those winnings. But if you lose, you'll get your stake back as a bonus bet. All right, Nick, game 4 of the Western Conference Finals will start tonight, and the Nuggets look to sweep the Lakers. What do you ultimately think is going to happen with this series?
A lot of sad Laker fans, Katie.
Not me. You could tell behind me. I am a Golden State Warriors fan. So sweep those Lakers.
Oh, there you go. Okay, like all my old friends out in the Bay. I appreciate that, but no, this series feels like it's a team that is just on a completely different level in the Nuggets than where the Lakers are at. And even more, you'd never just completely wipe out a team that has LeBron. But what the Lakers look like is a team that's just out of gas. LeBron has not been able to maintain that same level. Anthony Davis, the same. D'Angelo Russell has had a bunch of struggles in this series and just cannot seem to get going. So usually when that happens, all that team needs with the 3-0 lead is to have an early push in that first game, and that usually ends it. So I'd be surprised if the Lakers extend this thing into game 5, but I don't think it goes any longer than that because Denver with Jokic and Murray, they're just better.
I agree. It just hasn't felt like the Lakers have had it at all this entire. There's been moments where maybe, but they've just never been able to get any kind of a leg up on the Nuggets. Kind of similar to the Celtics here. So now let's move on to the NBA Finals. Seems pretty clear here who we're going to see. It's going to be the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. Who wins it all?
Katie, I'm not betting against the Heat again. I mean, what is it? Fool me once, shame on me. I'm not doing it. I am taking whatever I have if I were to put any bet down, and I am putting it on the Heat. They have made me look wrong too many times. So I really like this Nuggets team. They are really, really talented, but I have always been a sports romantic, I guess, in the sense that I believe in the momentum and in getting everybody to feel like your group can win every time you go out there. And what it feels like to me really is one of those Cinderella runs that we've seen in the tournament, in the NCAA tournament. They believe they can win. They feel like they have the best player, even though it appears they're going to go against Jokic, who is incredible. But with Jimmy on the floor,
Jamal Murray.
yeah, exactly. With Jimmy on the floor, this team
Yeah.
believes that it can do it all. So if it's me and this series happens, I'm telling my friends, don't make the mistakes that I've made repeatedly. Go with the Heat.
God, see, I was leaning Nuggets, but you make such a good point because I too have been made a fool and lost a lot of money betting against the Heat. Okay, so let's talk about how many games then. Does this go to 7 games? Because you got to give respect to Jokic and Murray and what the Nuggets have been able to do. Heat in what, 6, 7, 5? They're not going to sweep the
Katie,
Nuggets.
I have so much respect for the Nuggets that I would push it to 7 just because,
Yeah.
because I think they
Yeah.
legitimately can win because Jokic is that good. But with the way that things have gone, I would be hard pressed to bet against the Heat. So I guess in that regard, my pick would be Miami in 7 with the Heat carrying Jimmy Butler off on their shoulders in the end.
And what a newspaper cover that will be, and what a parade it would be in Miami. Nick, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're such a busy man. You got to hop on to ESPN, but let the people know where to find you on Twitter.
It's at Nick Friedell. And Katie, I appreciate you having me. There are going to be a lot of fun stories coming out of this Miami team in the next few weeks. And I look forward to the chance to riding along this wave that they've created.
Let's go. Heat in 7. I'm going to ride with you on this one, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to Moxie Bets. It's time now for Mox Locks. We're talking Western Conference Finals Game 4 as the Nuggets look to sweep the Lakers. I'll tell you what, I hope they do, because my first lock is the Nuggets. I'm taking them +3, and I'm also taking them on the money line +130. The Lakers, I mean, we just talked about it with Nick. The Lakers have not shown us anything to say that they can win this game. The Nuggets are just clutch, period. They're better than the Lakers. The Lakers have not had an ounce of control in this series. They are simply outmatched. Yes, there is the LeBron James narrative, right? But get that out of your head, guys, all right? The stat that says LeBron James has never been swept in a playoff series outside of the NBA Finals. Well, guess what? The Warriors had also never lost in the Western Conference to a team in the playoffs. And look where we are today, okay? This is a new year for everything. And to quote actually one of my favorite movies, Varsity Blues, things change, Mox, all right? Things are changing right now. Denver is winning this game on the money line, plus what is it? +130? Yeah, +130. I mean, we're getting good odds here. Anyways, Denver 2-8 straight up in its last 10 away games against the Lakers. They're also 6-2 against the spread in the last 8 games as an underdog. Give me Denver. All right, for my next lock, I'm taking the Joker. Jokic over 13.5 rebounds. It's at -108. Joker rebounds have been on fire. He's averaging right around this mark in this series. Yes, the last game was a bit of a dud in terms of rebounds. He only had 6, but outside of that, the Joker has had 17 and 21 boards in this series. You're trying to close out LeBron James. You got to create more opportunities to shoot. I actually like his triple-double prop, right? Closeout game, Joker triple-double, -103. But I definitely think that he's going to get a lot of boards tonight. So I've isolated the rebounds. And for my third, I'm going to show some love over to the Lakers. I'm taking Reeves over 2.5 made threes. It's at -103. The Nuggets, we talked about how clutch they are. They're shooting 50% from the floor, 42% from beyond the arc. If the Lakers want to keep up on scoring, they got to make some threes. And who's that? Who's the man for the job? Who are we going to do that to? Who are we going to do that to? Who are we going to give that to? We're giving it to Austin Reeves. He has hit this mark in 6 consecutive games. His three-point percentage in this series, 50%. So we know he's going to have the volume as well, because like Nick told you, Russell has been struggling in this series, which means his minutes have been decreasing and Reeves' minutes have been increasing. He's averaging 39 minutes actually per game in this series, and he's averaging nearly 8 attempts from deep. So give me Austin Reeves over 2.5 made threes. And that, people, is your Mox Locks. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Don't forget to follow us on social at Moxie Bets, and we'll see you next time.